Chinese embassy in London has hit back at the UK, calling its offer of safe haven to Hong Kong residents as irresponsible and a gross interference in China's internal affairs. The spat follows Beijing's approval of a new national security bill that cracks down on protest and dissent in this semi-autonomous territory. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Wednesday he'll extend residency rights for up to 3 million Hong Kongers eligible for British national overseas passport. Australia says it's also considering a similar offer. Andreas Fulda is a senior fellow at the University of Nottingham's Asia Research Institute, and we can speak to him now. Thank you very much for your time. So China has threatened to block this. Can you just talk us through the practicalities, the process of how someone could get citizenship? How complex actually is it?
Well, first and foremost, under this scheme, you would need to be a BNO holder, a British national overseas. So there are around about 300,000 current BNO holders. They and their relatives are now eligible to come to the UK first for 5 years to live and work here or to study, and then they will be offered a pathway to citizenship in the 6th year. But as your report mentioned, the Chinese embassy is opposed to this policy. And it remains to be seen whether a kind of Iron Curtain 2.0 is going to go up in Hong Kong in response.
How likely do you think that is?
Well, I think it would be incredibly difficult in the 21st century to prevent Hong Kongers from traveling abroad. There are 7 million Hong Kongers, and they can go on business trips. They can go on holidays in Southeast Asia, in North America, and in Europe. And so unless you are already on a list, I don't think that they can just blanket kind of stop the entire population from leaving Hong Kong. That way, Hong Kong would become an open-air prison.
Are there other strategies that China might employ to prevent people taking up this offer from the UK, but also Australia as well?
Well, I think we have to understand that much of these pronouncements are pure propaganda. They're meant to intimidate the West, just as this national security law, this so-called national security law, is meant to impose rule by fear in Hong Kong. So I think Western governments should not be overly impressed by these pronouncements and just make sure that they provide, a lifeboat for all those Hong Kongers who are now threatened by this illiberal and draconian law.
Can you just give us an idea of the timeline? If I'm a Hong Konger and I want a British national overseas passport, what's the process that I have to go through? How quickly could this all be engineered?
Well, actually, some of the BNO holders, their passports may have lapsed already. So actually, the number of 300,000 is actually much bigger. That's why the British government has given out this kind of arguably ballpark figure of 3 million. Now, I very much doubt that all of them will take up this offer anyway. It will also depend on your financial means to relocate. This will not be possible for all Hong Kongers. Also, do bear in mind that for cultural and linguistic reasons, other potential safe havens like Taiwan may be more attractive to Hong Kongers. And I do expect not just Australia, but also Canada and the United States to make similar offers.
And we know it's not a cheap process to go through, as you just mentioned. From the UK's perspective, is this a sort of empty gesture? Do you think they could do any more to try and facilitate or streamline this process?
Well, I think beyond offering citizenship to BNO holders and their families, I do think that the following 4 proposals or measures could be taken. First of all, there should be an appointment of a UN special envoy or rapporteur on Hong Kong. 2, Western governments should pass targeted Magnitsky-style sanctions against the perpetrators of human rights abuses, both in mainland China and Hong Kong. 3, there should be a formation of an international contact group to monitor the situation on the ground. And 4, there needs to be indeed now a coordinated international lifeboat policy to help Hong Kongers in the need of a lifeline.
Thank you very much for providing us just with that additional context. Andreas Fulda, Senior Fellow at the University of Nottingham Asia Research Institute. Really appreciate your time.